Inside America's prisons, silence doesn't mean peace. It means something's happening. In the most controlled environments on Earth, where inmates are forbidden to speak, write, or see each other, entire languages have evolved in secret. Messages travel through pipes, walls, lights, and even air vents. Words are replaced by taps. Taps turn into codes, and codes turn into networks. In this documentary, we'll unlock the hidden communication systems of America's most secure prisons. You'll discover how inmates run drug trades, coordinate attacks, and maintain brotherhoods, all without saying a single word. This is how inmates communicate without speaking in American prisons. The language of walls. Communication is control. That's why prison officials work so hard to stop it. At facilities like ADX Florence in Colorado or Pelican Bay's SHU in California, inmates live in isolation 23 hours a day. No phones, no visits, no voices. But behind those soundproof walls, communication never stopped. It just evolved. It began with something simple: tapping. In the early 1900s, prisoners borrowed Morse code patterns from wartime radio operators. By counting and spacing taps, they could form entire words. 1 tap for A, 2 for B, 3 for C. The rhythm traveled through walls like sonar. At first, guards dismissed it as boredom, meaningless noise. But by the 1950s, tap talk had become a system. Inmates in solitary blocks learned to hold full conversations, planning escapes, warning of raids, or simply keeping each other sane. Even today, at Supermax facilities with solid steel doors, inmates use the plumbing as a communication line. They drain toilets, shout into the pipes, and the sound travels through the entire tier. They call it talking on the bowl. It's crude, it's risky, but for men buried alive in silence, even a whisper through metal is a lifeline. The code. Within the chaos. Communication in prison isn't just about survival, it's about power. Behind every major prison gang, from the Aryan Brotherhood to the Mexican Mafia, there's a language built for secrecy. Each symbol, number, and gesture carries meaning. A deck of cards can double as a message board. A folded corner of a kite can signal rank. Even a game of chess can deliver orders. In California prisons, Hispanic gangs use the 12-step code, where every number matches a letter of the alphabet. A simple note reading 12 to 5 to 3 might seem harmless. Until decoded, it spells LEC, the initials of a gang leader. For black prison gangs like the Black Guerrilla family, handshakes, body language, and eye contact form an entirely different lexicon, one built around discipline and respect. These codes are so sophisticated that even the FBI has admitted. Deciphering them is like breaking ancient ciphers. Inside these walls, language is power. And every tap, glance, or fold is part of a hierarchy no guard can hear, but every inmate understands. The art of fishing. When the walls are too thick and the pipes too loud, there's another method: fishing. Inmates rip threads from clothing, braid them into long lines, attach a paper note or small object, and slide it down polished floors until it reaches another cell. They use soap wrappers as weights, toothpaste tubes as reels, and endless patience as strategy. Through fishing, inmates exchange letters, food, contraband, and sometimes entire friendships. It's the prison equivalent of social media, message chains linking hundreds of people through concrete corridors. One correctional officer described it this way: they built their own internet out of trash. Fishing is outlawed, but it's unstoppable, because as long as there's hope, there's communication. The language of eyes and hands. In the yard, words are dangerous. Every movement, every nod, glance, or blink can mean something. Prisons are built on silence, But inmates turn that silence into a language. They call it eye talk. A look to the left might mean guards watching. A raised eyebrow. Ready. A small head tilt. Wait. And when combined with subtle gestures, it becomes a complete sentence. It's invisible to outsiders, but to those who live inside the walls, it's fluent. In high-security units like Pelican Bay's SHU, inmates have refined this to an art form. They communicate entire plans with gestures small enough to fit between camera blind spots. Hands become words. Fingers become letters. Whole conversations happen without sound. Some use a modified version of ASL, American Sign Language, but stripped down and recoded so guards can't understand it. What looks like scratching or stretching is actually communication. Tactical, fast, and precise. For gang members, this silent code is critical. It keeps hierarchy alive, orders moving, and loyalty intact. A simple hand sign might confirm allegiance, mark a target, or warn of a setup. Tattoos fade in and out across arms. Teardrops, numbers, letters. Each one a symbol in the silent dictionary of prison life. Guards try to adapt, memorizing known gang hand signals, analyzing camera footage, consulting with intelligence units. But inmates evolve faster. Every time a code is broken, a new one is born. It's chess, not checkers, and the board is the prison itself. Smuggled words, the art of hidden messages. When gestures and taps aren't enough, inmates turn to writing. But in the world of constant searches, writing is war. Letters are censored. Notes are confiscated. Anything handwritten becomes evidence. So prisoners get creative. They write in code, invisible ink made from coffee, toothpaste, or milk. They write between lines of legitimate letters, invisible until held to the light. They write on the edges of paw, per, tiny sentences disguised as folds. Sometimes they send messages through the most unsuspecting couriers, a tray return worker, a laundry cart, or even a nurse. Every item that moves through the prison can carry a secret. Among inmates, these messages are called kites. A kite can carry gossip, orders, threats, love notes, or warnings that save lives. To guards, it's contraband. To inmates, it's connection. And in the isolating world of concrete and steel, connection is survival. Some inmates turn this into art, drawing elaborate letters that double as codes. A rose might symbolize trust, a snake, betrayal, a number, rank. It's a language within art, one that even trained eyes often miss. In a place where voices are forbidden, ink becomes rebellion. Each mark says the same thing. I'm still here. Voices through the walls. Some methods of communication defy everything the prison was designed to stop. Inmates whisper through vents, speak through drains, and shout into pipes. The system calls it vent talk. They call it freedom. It's primitive, but powerful. A message whispered into one vent can travel across several cells, amplified by the metal ducts like a hidden telephone network. To make it clearer, some create makeshift speakers from toothpaste caps or foil, amplifying sound like improvised megaphones. Even in solitary units, where isolation is total, inmates find ways to speak. They time their messages between guard rotations, or during count times when movement masks noise. The voices that travel through the walls aren't just planning or gossiping. Sometimes they're pleading. Sometimes they're singing. Sometimes they're reminding another person that they still exist. When guards join the game. For every communication system inmates build, there's one golden rule. No message moves unless someone on the inside allows it. And sometimes that someone wears a badge. Across the U.S., reports show correctional officers, from rookies to veterans, becoming part of the invisible communication web. Some for money, some for favors, and some just to feel powerful in a place designed to break everyone, guards included. The most common tool? Contraband cell phones. They turn solitary confinement into a social network. From Alabama to California, investigations have uncovered officers smuggling in prepaid phones for cash, sometimes $1,000 per device. Once inside, those phones connect entire prison populations. Through these tiny screens, inmates run illegal gambling rings, coordinate hits, and maintain gang orders, all while locked inside cells no one's supposed to reach. But the phones aren't the only channel. At Rikers Island, an internal investigation revealed staff delivering physical notes, kites, between rival housing units for payment. Some officers turned informants, using the flow of messages to manipulate gang power. In Louisiana's Angola prison, a 2019 sting operation exposed a mail clerk who rerouted inmate letters, intercepting information for both gang leaders and investigators, playing both sides. And in Georgia, a former correctional officer admitted to smuggling encoded letters that led to orchestrated robberies outside prison walls. She claimed she didn't understand the codes, but she did understand the money. $500 a message. Not every officer involved does it for greed. Some do it out of empathy or manipulation. Relationships form. Emotional bonds blur lines. An inmate convinces a young officer he's changed, he's misunderstood, he's human, and for once, someone listens. That's all it takes. One sympathetic ear, one small favor, and suddenly, silence has a new participant. The system feeds the cycle. Guards work long hours, underpaid, overstressed, and surrounded by manipulation masters. Inmate, some of them professional hustlers, study officers like psychologists. They memorize habits, weaknesses, emotions, and then they use them. Prisoners call it fishing for staff. And when they catch one, the flow of information and contraband can change everything. Stylized reenactment. A guard hands off an envelope through a slot. Crossfade to gang members smiling in another unit. Federal prosecutors have described entire networks built this way. Officers, civilians, inmates, all communicating through layers of coded messages. Some networks last months, some last years, until someone talks. When they do, the fallout is huge. Dozens of inmates transferred, entire housing units locked down, and staff arrested for facilitating inmate communication. It's a dangerous irony. The people hired to stop communication often become the ones enabling it. But maybe that says more about the system than the people in it. A place built on silence will always breed whispers. And if you listen long enough, even the guards start talking back. The digital revolution. Communication in the age of tablets. In the 21st century, prison communication changed again. And this time, it was legal. Companies like JPay, Securus, and GTL began providing tablets to inmates for education, messaging, and music. At first, it seemed revolutionary. Connection with oversight. But even under digital surveillance, inmates found ways to adapt. Encrypted phrases, nicknames, and innocuous messages hide deeper meanings. Guards call it coded texting. Inmates call it the new yard. Through legitimate systems, prisoners rebuild underground communities, sharing poetry, family photos, even coded instructions. Digital communication gave them access to the world again, but it also gave the world access to them. Some prisoners now have larger online followings than they did freedom itself. Every tool of control becomes a new tool of rebellion. Because no matter how advanced the system gets, the instinct to connect always wins. The unbreakable human code. From the outside, prison seems like a place where everything is controlled. The lights, the food, the voices. But inside, something always escapes control. Communication. Even when speech is forbidden, even when letters are censored, even when walls are built to swallow sound, the human need to connect always finds a way. You can lock a body in concrete, but you can't silence instinct. That instinct has shape, rhythm, and persistence. It travels through steel, through pipes, through fingertips. It evolves, adapts, survives. Inside America's toughest prisons, from ADX Florence to Angola, from Rikers to San Quentin, communication is more than rebellion. It's resistance. It's memory. It's humanity. Because in a world built to isolate, every message, every whisper, every tap says the same thing: I'm still here. When history looks back on this era of mass incarceration, it won't remember the silence. It'll remember the codes, the ways people refuse to disappear. The methods change, from walls to wires, from tapping to typing, but the message never does. Humans talk, even when they can't. That's what makes every code, every whispered signal, every hidden letter, a form of defiance. It's proof that even in the darkest places, connection is a kind of light. This has been how inmates communicate without speaking in American prisons. I'm your host, and this is Behind Bars TV. Don't forget to subscribe, not just to the channel, but to the truth.